Hi friends, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be here because today we will speak with you about thrillers, and I wanted to recommend you 6 wonderful thrillers for September, for starting the gloomy season, and to try to find then more interesting thrillers after reading this one. So I will tell you about 6 perfect thrillers which I read, which I was really involved, and I was really interested, and sometimes the stories were so gloomy and dark, and most of the time I was shocking because the first story which I want to tell you, it's Loris and White, uh, Beneath Devil's Bridge. It's a story which connect with the real situation which can happen in 90s in Canada with 14-year-old girl who was killed under the bridge. So, and in the beginning when I started to read the story, I didn't know that it was a true story, and most of the time I was shocking about how could it be, because in reality and in the book we have a small town with a lot of teenagers, and in this small town there are not a lot of things for them to do, like hobbies, like other entertainments, and most of the time they like to go in one place for drinking, for doing other things, and it was not so cool. In the one day, the girl Lena, who was 14 years old, was in this celebration of the holiday with other teenagers, but nobody loved her because of something. And all the story we will understand why nobody loved her, what happened in this day, and who was really victim in the story, and who was really person who did the thing of killing of this girl. So this story was so gloomy, was so dark, and all the descriptions of Canada small town was perfect. And I think that starting the gloomy season, would be perfect with the story, and September would be really cool, especially if you will have a rainy day and you will decide to read the story. I read the story during 2 days, and I just eat it up because I couldn't just imagine how and who would be in the end like a murderer, and who will do all these shitty things. Because firstly we will think that the girl just missed, but after some days of her searching, people will understand that she is under the bridge where some teenagers saw her in the day when she was missed. So the perfect story for autumn, perfect story for understanding how could be hard to be a teenager in a small town when you are not like a person who wonderful for everybody, if we can say like this one. The next story which would be perfect, and it's story if you like camps and some mystical and mystery things which can happen with the camps. So we have Killing Baron and You Are Not Supposed to Die Tonight. So the story is really perfect for beginning of September, because we with a group of people, a group of teenagers, will work in a camp, but it's not an ordinary camp for kids. It's a camp for quests, when people just book some tickets, buy the money, and they come in this camp in the forest for having horror moments in their lives. And they really like this camp, and it's a really popular place because it's connect with the film about the camp, and people just like to go there for understanding what is a camp, because this camp was a place where the film was filmed. And in one moment something strange started to happen, because some guys just missed, and nobody will understand why, where, and who are they, because they were new there in this job. And our main character, she is the last surviving girl. It's her role, and she will try to understand what's going on there, because she thought that these people just decided not to work, they just tired, and they decided to go to the city, and they need to give the last entertainment thing for people who just booked the tickets. But something mystical start happen, because they start to listen some strange voices, strange noises. Somebody start to see the people under the water or near with the window. So it's a really creepy story with some mystical and detective line. I hope you will like this one if you will try to read this in September. It's perfect book for giving your emotions, for continuing your ideas to read horror, mystical, detective thriller books in the fall. The next story is Matthew Farrell, What Have You Done? And it was the second book which I read on the author, and I wanted to recommend you this one because it's really wonderful detective with the policeman and with some murders. So we will have the idea of the author that we have not good policemen who are just sometimes do their things which they want, and not for the orders or suggestions to help some other people who live there. So the perfect story, and it was so written really cool, and I was really involved in the story. I finished this for one day and I was so perfectly excited about what's going on there. The characters, the atmosphere, the small town was really interesting, and the twist at the end was really unexpected for me, and I didn't know that it can happen and finish like this one. And for me it was like wow, it was just wow, it was just easily 5-star for me reading, and this story is really cool for a beginning of the horror and detective season. The next book which I wanted to recommend you, it's David Ellis, Look Closer, and it's a story for people who love some deep secrets, some gloomy secrets of the families, a relationship between the wife and husbands, and they lovers most of the time, because the story is really interesting started, because we know who died and we know how died, that is lady in a Halloween night, but we don't know actually what happened, because we can see the story from her side, from her husband, because her husband was there on the place where she died, it was her home, and actually everybody started to think that he is a victim, and we will see the story from different views, from different characters, and it was really cool method for understanding what's going on there. But they also liked a lot of twists, and during the reading I had a lot of them, and most of the time I just start to think that one character is a murder, in another thing that another is a murder. So in the end just finished with a big twist, which actually you didn't expect during the reading, and the story was really cool and interesting. I love the moments of describing the past and a moment describing the points of doing some things with the characters, because most of the times they did really bad things, they did really strange things, and you actually can't understand why are they doing this one, for what is the point. But during the reading, after some pages, you can understand what's going on. I love the style of reading, I love the characters, but the main character, he was disgusting for me. I really hated him, but I think that the author wanted to give him these things for giving you, like a reader, these emotions, like not good emotions for everything, for him, for his life, for his job, for his everything. And for me he was a really bad guy for most of the pages of the story. So a really interesting story, and for me it was really shocked that I read this story surprisingly, without any expectation, without other things. I just saw the covering and the annotation and decided to try. So I spent 2 or 3 days with this story. It's wonderful and it's really great. The next one, it's Lloyd Dever Richards, Stone Maidens, a story which was a bump on the TikTok, and everybody was reading this one. And the story is really cool and atmospheric. I like the atmosphere of small town, and there would be some strange moments of killing the people, because it would be the maniac who just put the dead bodies in the forest near with the river, and with the stone maidens heads in the mouths of the victims. So it was really horror, but I love the idea of the natural description in the story, because we have a lot of them, small towns, and around the towns, near with the towns, so we will have the forests, the rivers, and it was really cool. And also we have the main character anthropologist who all her life connect with the maidens, with the history, with other things, and it would really cool for understanding what's going on, why the maidens, why the stone maidens, who was the killer, why these victims. So it was really interesting, but sometimes I had the questions to the sheriff about his methods of doing some investigation, because most of the time, like, why you didn't do this one, why you did another thing. For me it was surprisingly, because most of the time he just decided not to go for the steps of the murderer, of the bloody drop somewhere. He decided just to go somewhere for interviewing, and that's it, and just probably came back to this crime scenes after some period. So it was really strange, but the book was interesting, and the finishing line was really cool with a twist. So if you like surprisingly twists in the end, which make you feel shocking and which you actually couldn't expect, I will recommend you this story, because it's really well paced, it's really involving, and most of the time it's really gloomy, because you can understand what actually bad things happen in this small town. So, and the last story I wanted to recommend you is Hold My Hand, MG Ford, and the story is really cool because it started with the fair, where the small girl saw how the clown just go away with a small kid from the fair, and she didn't think that it's something bad, she didn't think that something wrong, and she actually didn't tell anybody about this situation and that it's happened. After some period, she can understand that this boy missed, something happened with him, nobody can find him, and after a lot of period of time, this girl started to be a policeman, and she decided that she started to believe and continue to believe that this missing of the boy was her mistake, was her fault, because she didn't tell anybody. But surprisingly, after some period of time, she can understand that something happened again, and the kids start to miss again, and the clown is the main on this crime scene. She started to think that probably it could be the same clown, or probably it would be the person who loved this idea to be like this one and continue to do the deal of this clown, and we start to play the game in this book. So I really love this story. It was a really interesting story. I read it so fast. It was easily 5-star reading for me. It was great thriller with a great characters, great atmosphere, great themes, with a great moments of investigation, with a great moments of trying to find kids who missed by some other clues. So it was really cool, and I think that in my list today it's the most interesting story for me, and I really highly recommend you this one, because if you like the clowns, if you scare clowns, if you like the fairs, it would be the perfect reading for September, for fall, and I think it will be a really cool story for opening the season of thrillers. So I told you today about 6 wonderful detective thrillers, and I really appreciate you if you will write me your recommendations of such books, because I am really fan of these stories, and I really fan of stories about fairs, clowns, about family, deeply mystical things, and I really sure that you read a lot of such books, and I'm just in the searching of such stories for my fall emotions and for my fall reading and my vlogs. So I will appreciate if you write me some comments about some recommendations of the stories. Also write me which have you read from the thrillers, and which one you like, or maybe you like rereading in the fall. And thank you for watching my videos. Bye!